Do next, too, for the third presentation in a row to present a contrarian point of view, perhaps altogether, the head of JWT in China. Please welcome please welcome Tom Doctoroff. Hi, Tom. Great to see you.
Hello, everybody. I am very nervous today because not only am I disoriented from a long plane from China, but my Microsoft client nickname for me is TV Tom. And I'm sitting here talking about the data revolution. So let's just agree today that as I speak about creating brand advocacy in an era of digital empowerment, I no longer am in advertising. Instead, I engineer media-neutral, idea-centric participation platforms. Anyhow, we all know that there's a new media landscape out there. I'm sure you guys have talked about it endlessly. I won't go on about it. But of course, in this new digital media landscape, consumers have many choices, and it is getting ever more complex. In fact, digital expert to me is an oxymoron because digital is a fat word. It's constantly evolving. It's the sea and it's the ocean, and it is omnipresent and surrounding us. And I do want to say from TV Tom that in the spirit of the last presentation, TV will always exist. Actually, I banned the term TV. I now call it a filmic impression. But it is still going to be important, and let's discuss a little bit why later on. And we also know that the internet advertising scene is very complex. Where people are spending their money, how people are engaging in online ads, it really is very messy out there. But what I want to say is that we are moving into a different era where there is the ability to, instead of forming brand impression through passive exposure, our goal is to transform passive exposure into active participation. So in terms of the new order, we need to really think about competing in terms of share of time. Share of time. Brands that are able to obtain a high amount of time of consumers because they are involved with not only the communications, but the brand itself are winners. So from an advertising agency perspective, we create ideas that people want to spend time with, very simply. And the better the idea, the more involving the idea, the more engaging the idea, the more time people will spend with it. This is what we call ROI. I am very intimidated by the return on investment because I don't know what that means. Because every time that people engage with communications, we expect a different behavioral action coming from that. It's not always just having sales as the numerator. So I prefer to think of ROI as return on involvement. And that involvement is measured in terms of effectiveness in many different ways based on many different objectives, whether it's click-through, bounce rate, impressions, postings, page views, etc. Return on involvement is where it really is. Now, I have been lucky because I have been operating for the past 19 years in Asia Pacific. This is not an era of postmodern brand cynicism. This is a very optimistic geography about the role of brands in life. And I think it's important to take a little bit of a distant view in terms of how the Chinese, how the Asians have developed such affinity with brands, because I think some of this is universal and timeless. There's an expression in Chinese, 团结就是力量, and what that means is from unity comes strength. In this era of media fractionation, my plea to everybody is to remember that consistency is golden. Consistency is golden if we don't want to confuse clients, if we don't want to confuse ourselves, and most importantly, if we don't want to confuse the consumer. And I like to think of consistency in terms of a very clearly articulated brand idea. A brand idea is the long-term relationship, bilateral, two-way, that remains consistent over time yet evolves across time and place. Consistency is like a marriage. It's bilateral, it's equal between consumers and brands, and it shape shifts, but always remains true to its soul. So a brand idea is a long-term relationship. And as we get very excited about the possibilities of data and effectiveness and measurement, let's remember that that clearly articulated brand idea is the golden rule. I want to just play one example of a Chinese brand here. It's called Anta. It's a sports shoe. It's not Nike. A brand idea is a fusion of a consumer insight, a deep understanding of the motivations for behavior and preference of a market target, and something very distinct about the brand or the product into one idea. The brand idea for Anta is to forge yourself. In China, it's Yongbujibu. The market target is mass market, not Nike first-tier premium cities for Shanghai and Beijing trendsters. It's for people that haven't been kissed by the wave of liberalization and economic reform. Now, Anta has been consistent in China. In 2008, it was the number 4 brand in terms of sales. Today, in terms of units sold, it is the number 1 brand in China. In terms of revenue, the number 2. Now, you've probably not heard of Anta. You probably have heard of Li Ning, because in the 2008 Olympics, Li Ning was the guy that lit the Olympic flame. He's the Olympic hero. In 2008, it was second, and now it is number 4. The profitability of Anta is 4 times that of Li Ning, and the key difference between the two brands at the same price point is that Anta has been consistent. So let's take a look at Anta's brand communication over several years, and you can see even in 2006, it was clear. From hard work comes glory. From sweat, glory emerges. Volume up, please. No one said the world was fair. You can crank the volume. I need some impact here, some impression. It's still not cranking. One more notch, then we're there. There we go. Let your scars be a badge of honor. Looking to the sky, glory emerges. A Chinese benefit for a mass market that has a dragon in its heart. Yongbujibu. Now, this is the type of digital community website that they're doing, very nationalistic, but really about the glory of me, the glory of the nation. And take a look at something that feels a little bit more contemporary from more recently. Basketball is life. The same brand idea, the same relationship, expressed a little differently.
生命是上天赐予的礼物。每天升起的太阳，你感受到自己的能量，释放野心和欲望，开始冒险，经历顺境、逆境、沉寂、爆发，学会坚强，学会感恩。 生命只有一个方向，不可预知，但它存在，不离不弃。篮球是生命。
These are effective filmic expressions. Now let's back up a little bit. I'll talk very briefly about what is this new communications model of advocacy, a word or two on e-fluencers, who are the new disciples and netizens, how we use digital communications to address deep motivations of consumers. Theoretically, and I apologize for theory, what is this advocacy model? Well, here is a boring chart. But the fact is that these two models exist together at the same time, and we are trying to reconcile them. The old model, the traditional model, the so-called above-the-line model, which I like to call the timeless model, starts with broad awareness, and that's why television is scalable, moving into preference and moving into purchase. The new model The digital model, the model that's unleashed by technological empowerment, starts with one-on-one relationships between consumer and brand, or consumer and brand. It then moves to purchase, and then the holy grail is advocacy. And what that means is loyalty. And what loyalty is the willingness to pay a price premium for a good and be loyal with that over time. But a little bit more vividly, the top-down model, the lean-back model, is about clear, defined commands and brand definition. It often uses the language of military. We are going to conquer the market. We are going to penetrate the market. We are going to defeat our competitors. But it is top-down, it is declarative, it is clearly defined. And clarity of brand definition will always be important. The top-down model at its worst point can be even more boring than sitting through a Chinese Communist propaganda party. 我们是中国最厉害的. We are the greatest, because it is alienating and it is manufacturer speak. It does not come from the heart. But in its best moments, and this is why I say timeless, it is like a religion. It is an articulated belief. When Nike articulates the just do it spirit, people know what it means. It means that you as an individual are going to fight against the regulations of society and define yourself on your own terms. That is a powerful, timeless, top-down model. But the bottom-up model, which is increasingly important in an era of empowerment, is dialogue. It's whisper. Every technological engagement has the potential to ignite just a little bit more humanity because it's intimate. It can be a street movement. It can be unpredictable. It can spread like waves over a cultural landscape. And it evolves. It evolves. It cannot be completely predicted. The top-down model evolves, but it is clearly defined in the hands of the manufacturer. The bottom-up model is an evolution that can't be perfectly managed. And both these models are fundamental. Now, from marketing standpoint, we are talking about content, as has been discussed previously, and ideas that spread from one consumer to another consumer. But marketers are very disoriented right now. Here's a good quote from Clive Sirkin, the Senior VP of Kimberly-Clark. We don't believe in digital marketing. We believe in marketing in a digital world, and there is a huge difference because there is chaos out there. There is chaos of orientation, and digital is giving the entire industry a massive confidence crisis. And our holy and sacred mission as marketers is to unify the top-down and the bottom-up models to reconcile very different impulses, but each of which are critical in establishing loyalty. So I'm sure that each one of you are probably familiar with the Oreo case, where the brand idea that has remained the same since I was a child. I was born in the year of the rabbit, 1975. Okay, I'm not 1975, but I was born in the year of the rabbit. The brand idea since I was a child is liberating the childhood spirit. Take a look at what they did for their 100th anniversary in terms of content manufacturing. They have every day for 1 year a topical interpretation of, it can be a gay cookie, it can be an Elvis cookie, it can be a Mars Land Rover cookie, but this is what they did. Volume.
Monday night, Oreo posted this on their Facebook page.
New rule, wingnuts have to stop saying they're going to boycott Oreos because they made a gay cookie.
Oreo had a big birthday this year. The challenge? To make this old cookie young. The idea? Make Oreo relevant every day. To do this, we launched the
same brand idea,
a
different expression that flowers every day.
Here's how it worked. The team worked in real time, scouring the internet every morning for headlines, features, iconic birthdays, dogs going into retirement, whatever was trending, and looked at them through the eyes of this playful cookie. Every day was a production day. Once concepts were developed, there was a full production team waiting in the wings. By 6 p.m., the day's twist would be pushed out to Oreo's 27 million Facebook fans.
I think you got the idea. Hugely effective. Obviously, there was free media coverage, there was Twitter, there was Pinterest, there was a Facebook page. It's all working together to have that relationship reinforce a previous existing relationship. So no matter what study you read, and this one is not from an advertising agency, we exist beyond the fringes of legitimacy these days. It is from the Harvard Business Review, where the number one number that is correlated with growth is the number of advocates, online advocates. And more statistics from Bain & Company, a reputable consulting firm. In terms of online presence, it increases purchase interest by 84%. In terms of intent, people recommendations result in purchase intent increase of 34%. In China, 92% of digital consumers only buy a product if opinion leaders or bloggers have written a positive review. So, with that in mind, what are the golden rules of brand advocacy? There are only two. The first is we need to harness the power of online opinion leader advocacy. The second rule is that we need to liberate the consumer advocacy on a much more mass basis. So let's talk about the influencers. Just a real quick word to remind everybody that opinion leader advocacy, when things spread, is something that is worth the investment. So what do to target these influencers? We identify the right opinion leaders that are interested in a message, and then we tap into their motivations by giving them a message that they can engage with and then spread. And then we're also responsive to online dynamics in terms of what's working and what's not working. So first, identify the right advocates. Very simply, every single category has online experts that are very involved in that category. This woman here, Ali Salsabila, is an Indonesian blogger and opinion leader who is interested in fashion. Paul Tan is a Malaysian auto blogger who has hundreds of thousands of followers. And CJ in Taiwan is the most famous Taiwan mobile and tech blogger. We need to develop relationships with these types of people and give them content that they will be interested in. And we need to tap into their motivations. Very simply, influencers are people too. They want to do two things. One, they want to display their coolness, and two, they want to show off their leading edge knowledge, their cutting edge knowledge. So when VW in China does the People's Car Project, it's actually transforming an online platform into a platform for geeks, and geeks who want to display their cutting edge awareness, and then they spread the information. And by the way, the most popular American television show in China is also The Big Bang Theory. In China, Sheldon is a god. And people also want to display their coolness. So Converse, and its brand idea again is always about celebration of originality, encourages designers, fashion designers and blog leaders to show off their creativity by designing new shoes and having a competition. So it spreads, and you listen and follow your conversation. So some things work, some things don't work. Based on what is this triggering response, you change, of course. But what I want to spend a little bit of time talking about is the netizens, the power to the people that are involved in the internet. I want to talk a little bit about creating consumer advocacy. In Asia, I don't want to get into a lot of Asian insights here, but I think it's true around the world, but turbocharged in Asia. The young generation has a fundamental emotional relationship with the internet. In the United States, it is relatively speaking more functional. But Asians in general, and particularly in North Asia, they have what I call a dragon in the heart. There is tremendous ambition. There is the urge to surge. Pepsi's tagline of "Ask for more" is translated into Chinese as "Kowang Wu Shen," which means aspire to infinity. That's ambitious. And yet, they exist in a tremendously hierarchical, Confucian, regimented social structure with omnipresent rules where the individual does not exist independent of his obligations and responsibilities to other people. In this type of environment, the internet is manna from heaven. The internet is a blank canvas of self-expression. So internet bars are huge. They're the size of football fields. And everybody is in there. And when you are online, you are not just an internet internet user, you are a Wangming, a netizen. Wangming sounds much better in Chinese and has more emotional resonance. All right? Because in Asia and even in the United States, as we can see from the selfie being picked as the word of the year, but I think it's Webster Dictionary, narcissism is even more intoxicating than Buddhism. So, online is about release and liberation. So the power of the role of the internet is to bring power to the people. And in that context, there's a long list of motivations. But in general, we can clump them into three. There are things that make me more confident. There are things that connect me to other people. And then there is connection to the world. Quickly, me, it's about entertaining me, letting me express myself and enriching my life. So tactic number one is very simple, offer fun utility. But when you offer fun utility for a brand, make sure that it reinforces an existing brand relationship. Axe, one of Unilever's most successful brands, has always been about helping teenage and young boys and young men who are average, give them a sense that they can attract a hot goddess. It's about irresistible attraction. So take a look in Japan. What they did is they offered an Axe wake-up call service. Utility, but sexy.
アックスウェイクアップサービスです。このサイトではモーニングコールサービスを行っています。最初どこまで私たちがコールします。まずお試しください。アックスウェイクアップサービス。期間限定の出張ウェイクアップサービスを行っております。
I think you got the idea. In the interest of time and political correctness, I will go on. You got to be much less careful there, all right? Tactic number two, provide a platform to shine, because people who are shy want to be able to let their talents be known, but when protected by anonymity or an avatar. And I just want to say one thing, the most successful online program in China's history was the Pepsi Get on the Can competition, and all that was an opportunity for you to have your face emblazoned on a special edition limited can of Pepsi. Long story short, 750 million people participated. Again, everybody wants to find like-minded mavericks on the internet. Everybody wants to find like-minded warriors. So what passions do people share? Building friendships, etc. But very quickly, tactic number one is connecting to a passion. A passion that might not be typical in the offline world. This is something that Nike did in China. Now again, background. In China, people don't play sports that much. So encouraging participation for sports is the ultimate goal of Nike. Nike's brand idea of just do it is about championing individuality. And here's what we did online, here's what Wyden and Kennedy did online. It's about Nike Come Out. It is come out at night. Encouraging sports nuts to not just play in the day, but form a tribal community at night. Take a look. Starts with an online announcement to kick off the event, very simply. Next, leveraging celebrities to call for action. Here is one execution by Kevin Durant. All done online.
Hey, mommy and poppy hanging with Katie tonight. They'll approve. July.
That was powerful. And then there's online competition with key opinion leaders that is facilitated by Nike Plus and Fuel.
你能追上我吗？来挑战我。
So you're spreading online, combining the power of celebrities and the brand's technology and the brand's product, and then it spreads offline. It makes the offline jump so that gangs of people have activities in different cities so people can come together and hold competitions in different cities. Reward is practicing with your hero. Again, for both online and offline, Kobe is teaching them.
Well, I think being at that fort, that adds to the mental toughness. You start thinking, maybe this morning I don't have to, I just roll over, go to sleep, I can shut the alarm off. And that's really challenging you mentally to really have to get up and get out there and perform. So that's why I do it.
Once you guys understand, once you guys realize how hard.
So the campaign roadmap is, again, traversing online, offline, from announcement to call to action, invitation to participate, another invitation to participate, and then a reward that is very clear, and all the same time creating a community of like-minded mavericks. Again, you can build like-minded communities as another tactic, and this is one campaign from Pedigree. Pedigree is about dog advocacy. It's about love of dogs and protecting the interests of dogs. And so they had one campaign that was an adoption campaign with a subline of "We're for the underdogs." So what they had is they had an adoption canine search engine to make searching simple and fun, using, of course, the fact that people like dogs that look just like them.
Welcome to Doppelganger. Your best friend's search starts here.
The brand belief for Pedigree is really to make the world a better place for dogs, and the adoption drive was born as a demonstration of that. The brief was help us come up with an idea to really get the buzz and excitement back around adoption drive, and they came back to us with Doppelganger.
The SPCA in Auckland, and it's the same around the country, they desperately need homes for abandoned dogs, and we're quick to get on board with this Doggleganger.
This accent is Australian.
Studies have shown the happiest best friends often share similar features, personality traits, even body types. That's why the Pedigree Adoption Drive and NEC developed Doppelganger, human-to-canine pairing software.
NEC's technology is the world's best. This is pretty hardcore technology. It is used for anti-terrorism, border control, surveillance. Using it with the dogs was rather unusual. Once we actually tested it and we could see that it actually worked, it was all go from there.
Simply upload your image and this state-of-the-art software will analyse your features and compare them with real dogs looking for adoption. When a match is found, your likeness will be rated and your photo sent to your dog. If you both decide you would like to meet, details will be exchanged and you can set up a time. By partnering with shelters in every major city, Doppelganger now hosts...
I have to show the results so you don't think this is just a cynical exercise.
Everywhere, the very best chance to set up that vital first meeting in the journey to finding a new home.
We've got to get people here. You have that spark between the animal and the person, and the hardest thing is actually getting people in here to try and see the animal. And once they do, they want to take it home. Any dog that gets rehomed is a lucky dog.
Things that makes Doppelganger really powerful.
In the interest of time, I'm going to ask you to trust me. Here we go. All right. 2,600,000 media impressions, 5.8 million, 36% increase in dogs rehomed, etc. The third area is the world, and we don't have the time to cover that today. But what I wanted to say is particularly in Asia, where people want to connect to the world and bring back the benefits of the Western world into their societies, is to be a part of greatness. But it's not just, of course, Western. Adidas, what it did, reinforcing its impossible is nothing brand idea. In New Zealand is a small country that plays a game called rugby, a violent game. In any case, what they did is they had Adidas thread, okay, that through technology online you could have your name sewn onto a micro thread so that the champions could play it on the road in England, so that the entire nation came together as their cherished Blackhawks went to England. So I don't have time to play that video for you today. There's a sign here that's 1 minute left, and I'm looking there. You're shortchanging me 2 seconds. supporting dreams, and that's what Pepsi's Refreshing the World was all about. So I'm going to sum up right now, and I'm asking for a plea as we dive into the seas of big data. Let us also remember that the brand idea is sacred. The brand idea is a long-term relationship between consumer and brand that remains consistent, yet evolves over time and space. And the brand idea is a fusion of deep insight into motivations of a market target and something unique about the brand. And we also talked about the fact that online opinion advocacy can be used to spread the word. So we want to identify the right opinion leaders, tap into their motivations, and be responsive to their dynamics. And we talked about the fact that there are two models going on right now, a top-down model of declaration and clarity of brand messaging, and a bottom-up model of intimate engagement and dialogue. So we need to provide for consumers a strong motivation to act. And we talked about 3 levels of motivation: me, we, and the world. And we are offering for me to offer fun utility and provide a platform to shine. For we need to help people connect to their passion with like-minded mavericks and build like-minded communities. And for the world, we need to be a part of greatness and help support dreams. So in 30 minutes, that's our thoughts on digital advocacy.